participate in them, and are you concerned over these killings?
I was not in the protest, but we were on Twitter and any other, avenue we have on social media trying to advocate for what was happening. What happened is very unfortunate. I would like to condole with the families. It's not only in Isli that people have died, it is in most of other parts. You've seen the reports. Police are saying there are killings of 339 this year, 340 something last year, 360 something. So crime has gone up, and if you look at what is happening in Isli, it was very unfortunate. The whole town, or the whole Isli was on shutdown in protest of the people who were killed. Isli is not an ordinary place. It's a place that contributes 30% of the GDP of Nairobi. So if you look at crime in Kenya today, if you look at Kenya National Bureau of Standards reports, towns like Murang'a, Kiambu, Nairobi, Kakamega, Machakos, Nairobi, the crime rates are very high. If you look at counties in the north, I don't know whether it is the culture or the population in these parts, crime rates is very low in northern Kenya, especially pastoral communities. It's almost zero. We only have in northern Kenya is insecurity. So it is incumbent upon the National Police Service to tell us, because keeping law and order in this country is under the police. So there are only two ways this thing happen. Either they are organized crime, where people are being killed either for money or for ransom or hired goons, or there are issues of extrajudicial killing, as reported both by Kenya Human Rights, Transparency International, including Kenyan Parliament. There is a report that is already out on extrajudicial killing, and this did not start today. If you look at the Kenyatta government, Kenyans were killed. Moi government, Kenyans were killed. Under Uhuru, people were killed. So sometimes there are people in the leadership who must realize that this is a new Kenya. From 2010, Kenyans have vision to have a new path politically, where people's rights are safeguarded under the law. And I want to tell the president and the leadership, life is given by God. So any criminal or any police officer has no right to take life. When I am meant to die, I will die. As a Muslim, I believe kullu nafsun da'iqatul maut, which is every soul shall test death. But when you slaughter someone in a country that is 60-year-old, in a country that has police, in a country that has CCTV everywhere, in a country that has sub-county security committee. Nairobi is a county, and every sub-county in this country with a member of parliament, the Kamakunji, they are security, team. We have the several police stations. So one, I will say, for example, in Isli, we have just inaugurated BBS Mall, Joel. BBS Mall has more than 3,500 shops. It has more than 10,000 employees, directly or indirectly. It has 300 workers. It hosts 20 banks. It has international companies and franchise. Isli we cannot allow what is happening in Isli now because of failure of either insecurity or leadership. Why? Isli is employing close to thousands of people coming from the neighboring areas to come and work. So this is a place, environmentally, we were supposed to keep it clean. Security-wise, the area member of parliament...
You're supposed to, meaning it's not clean?
Well, it is not. To the standard of the money it's producing. Nairobi County has failed it. The national government has failed it. Because, and sometimes there is leadership gap, because the current member of parliament, you might say, is an old school. Currently, the population of Isli is less than 35 years old. So it is incumbent upon the people of Isli to think about, what do we do with what we have? You cannot allow a place that produces 30% of the GDP of Isli. Because when Ahmed Nasir and Maalweli came up with this idea of building the biggest mall in East and Central Africa, it is to provide opportunities for other Kenyans. So we cannot allow Isli to produce that amount of money, Isli to have Isli business community, we have sub-county security administration team. So if the leader was concerned about what's happening, you just need to provide honest leadership to your people and tell them, we will manage the garbage collection system and the garbage throwing system. Once you have enough dustbin, and you also talk to the people, you do advocacy, sensitization, public education for the people, that for us to live in this place and do business, we need to be very clean. That, if it's done, Isli can produce more than 50%.
And also for the security matter. Prof, people daily highlight that police are on the spot over the increase in killings and abductions within the country, with over 15 cases reported in the last 2 months. According to the police headquarters, a comparative analysis of murder cases reported from August to October for the years 2022-2024 indicates a slight increase. For instance, in 2024, a total of 339 murder cases have so far been recorded, compared with 336 in 2023 and 341 cases in 2022. Basically, since 2022, the numbers have always been at an upward of 300. Yeah. Are you concerned? Is this an alarming rate of killings?
Yeah, for sure, it is a concern for everybody. Some of us, myself, Fred Ogola here, seated here, we've been arrested, we've been beaten up, locked up in a cell. You saw the abduction, for example, the Kitengela 3, even that led to the almost the imprisonment of the Inspector General acting, that is. So it's rising. But let me just note, let me tell you what, Joel, I think I'm stopping to become an activist and starting to become more of a leader, because the leader offers solutions. So what is the solution here? As an economist, you see that there's a high correlation between police brutality and the type of government that you are running. What I mean by that is that, there's democratic governments, there's dictatorial governments, there's autocracies and all those things. So the more a government becomes more dictatorial, the more you see now police brutality rises up. And if you see that there are so many issues which are emerging in Kenya now, which are looking like not very pleasant to people, because who is being killed? People are being killed are dissenting voices, dissenting opinions. So
the government does not have tolerance.
Yes, so because you are running a dictatorial government, and look at the issues, one of them, we have high cost of living. It's affecting people. When you raise the issue, dictatorial government do not want you to raise it. When there's what we call poor government services, passports, IDs, education system, healthcare, there's an issue. When there's corruption, then you see again, Adani's, you talk about the Shah, the Safaricom, the e-citizen. Those are issues which are emerging, and people are having dissenting opinion. And those are rising, and because there's a dictatorial government who do not want any dissenting voices, then you see now the police has to clash with these citizens, because the policeman is not the problem. According to us, the police reforms were supposed to make the police force become police service. But even if they are called police service, we are seeing a lot of force, and we are not seeing a lot of service. In developed world where now there is no dictatorial government, where you have a democracy, you'll see that policemen are more concerned about people's safety, people's peace, law and order. But here what we are seeing is that policemen cause a lot of disorder, and it's not their fault. The fault is from the top. So
they take instructions, basically.
They take instructions. So if you talk about poor governance, bad leadership, when there's poor governance and bad leadership, the police is forced to support a poor governance and poor leadership. And what they do, they use force, because when you talk, they beat you. When you say anything, they beat you up. There's no argument. There's no discussion. But in a democracy, you find, I saw when Spain was having a problem last time, when Barcelona wanted to secede from Spain, the policemen were there guarding people on the street when people are demonstrating, and people are showing all sorts of manners. Later, the Spanish government found a way to solve the problem with the Catalonia, and there was no problem. But you see, when we have a democracy whereby, I don't call it democracy. Kenya is not yet a democracy. Kenya is way far from democracy. When we have a problem whereby the opposition has collapsed, now people have to come to the street to do what opposition should be doing. Therefore, the police will face them. Because, for example, if Raila was the one speaking on the street, you won't find the policeman beating him up. The policeman will not abduct him. He won't be arrested. If Kalonzo was doing the same, if these people called themselves opposition leaders were doing their part, then the citizens do not have. But now, point has come whereby your MP has failed you, your senator has failed you. So what do? You come and bring your body to the street. And because you are not protected by law, there's no immunity. You're taken, you're beaten up. Then another thing is that I think also we have to talk to our development partners. The funding for human rights has actually gone down. They are never putting money on civil rights. People can fight for civil rights. Like, for example, my brother last is talking about the issue of civic education. It costs money. Is there anywhere where the government has put money that if you want to educate citizens, you get money to educate them?
But the Lex of Ford Foundation were once accused of.
You see now, I'm telling you that civil society or even development partners, the funding of civic education, people can be governed when they know. Sometimes there are some things happen in government that people oppose just because of what they call trust deficit. And trust deficit comes when people have no information. For example, Adani, who really knows the depth of it? Somebody can just say, your airport is being stolen, then they go to the streets. Now, how is it being stolen? Who is explaining this thing to them? Public participation in governance. How are MPs, senators, MCAs involved? I'm sure everybody is pointing fingers at the president, but it's not just the president. Leadership has failed us from the roof to the floor.
So they should be conducting public participation similar to that of Rigathi Gachagua, at least.
You know, for example, for me it's amazing how public participation was done throughout the country in speed time and with budget which was not there, because I don't even think that the Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment was put in the budget when you are reading our budget. Where did this money come from? When the government wants to do what they want, they're in a hurry and money is available. Well, we'll be getting when it's about the citizens, there is no hurry and there is no money available.
We'll be getting to that also shortly. Kevin Ayodi, a governance expert, thank you so much for getting time. There is an uptick in abductions and murders. Now police are on the spot. What do you have to say about this?
Personally, I want to tell Kenyans that there is nothing positive we are going to expect from the police, because as far as I remember, we have had these cases since even the last regime, people abducted, and then the farthest the cases go is that maybe a case has been filed, but from there we don't see anything happening. Let's take an example of Gen Z demonstrations, those who were abducted and the killings. So we saw the IPOA, we saw different independent institutions saying that we are going to take actions, and then at the end of the day they come and tell us that we do not have evidence, we cannot directly link a particular officer to certain killings. So what that tells us is that we'll still have such cases, and then we'll not have an accountability. Maybe what our legislators can do to help reduce this, if actually they are serious on our security issues, maybe we can have a way whereby we can prosecute a police officer at an individual level. For example, if Kelvin Ayodi is a police officer and I committed such a case of maybe just brutality or something, then I can be sued at a personal level, without depending on the IPOA. So the issues we have right now, like my brother here said, Mr. Ogola, is that anytime you speak about the government or anything that maybe hurts the government, it is unlikely that you'll finish a month without you being abducted. That's why you see many people, when they post on Twitter something bad about the government, like the Adani deals, the evils in the government, you'll find that these people, after some time, they're missing. When they go missing, maybe go there, make some cry, and then no one will be accounted for, no one will be arrested. But the only thing the police can tell us is that maybe we have launched investigations. Like the murder that happened in the Eastleigh, the farthest we can go is we have launched the investigation. I don't think
so we'll that is usually maybe part of the training of the police.
Exactly, yes, we have launched
that is what you tell the media when you're questioned about
yes, so that is what they say. We have launched the investigation and nothing will go beyond that point. Many cases we'll have, even the DP will open files, take them to court, nothing happens beyond that point. So the only thing we have right now is that we can just go to the street, we can cry, we can say brutality has happened, but I think the orders from the above, like Mr. Ogola said, the police acts based on what they have been told. Now let's take an example also about the Gen Z protests. when we had peaceful demonstrations, we had people like Akina Rex being killed. There's no accountability up to this point, as far as I can remember. Like, I've not seen anybody being brought to books.
Families, have they been compensated so far?
Yes.
There was a pledge by President
But
Ruto on
compensation without us arresting who did this person is can eventually go and commit the same crime to another person. So if I commit murder or I commit something to your family and then you are compensated, but I'm left free, what have we done? We have not done anything. So we need these people to be brought to book. We need the law enforcers to be serious with their work.
Well, that is as far as the security matters are concerned. On the Daily Nation, Ruto Adani deals good for you. President William Ruto has finally shown his hand, throwing his weight behind the controversial multi-billion shilling Adani deals in the energy, transport and health sectors, which he says will help to ease the tax burden on Kenyans and reduce the country's reliance on borrowing. President Ruto saying Adani deals good for you. Just to begin with you, Alas, is this not borrowing in kind? Because I understand, much as President Ruto cites that it reduces the debt burden, we are still going to pay for these deals at the end of the day.
What I will just say is that every time the president says something is good for you, we Kenyans know it's not. This country has been borrowing money, billions of money. We were told those, monies that was borrowed, they're going to be doing mega projects. But we have seen in those mega projects, they are mega failures. From Kibaki to Uhuru alone, we have left projects stalling of about 9 trillion Kenyan shillings. So last week, I wrote an article on the People. Ruto and Associates will stop dealership model of government, which is the government that we have. When you talk about democracy in terms of Kenya, we don't have direct presentation. We have through elected representatives. Now, the people who are supposed to check Adani are the parliamentarians. These are the people Philip Ochieng called the president's sheep. The 13th parliament has failed Kenyans. You will see how fast the impeachment of Gachagua was done. But any other project that is meant to help Kenyans, you don't see the same honesty, the same concern for Kenyan public accountability. Yet, if you look at the priorities, the policies and the aspirations of Kenyans, if you want to look at transformation in this country, you need to go to rural Kenya. I tell people every time, Kenya is bigger than Nairobi or Coast. I have traveled just in July in North Rift, and I just came back from Mandera. This country is far from development. The president has to know he's either going to play politics with our lives, and he looks at the dealership aspect of government by making money. Because out there, if you go to people...
The president making money?
Yes, because...
Profiting?
Of course. How did Ruto make money? Ruto has ever been in government for 70... Ruto is not Elon Musk or the Russian telegraph inventor. There is no a politician in this country who has invented rockets or medicine or even written a book, and his book is one of the top selling Amazon. It's not. When you look at the Russian telegram guy who was just arrested in France, he's worth about $100 million US.
Will you estimate how much Ruto is worth?
People said in 2013 he was worth 103. Now he's worth 60 billion. That's what we were told.
No, it's more than that.
And every time you are told 60 billion, that is only what you were told. If someone else becomes the president and then we do an inquiry into the wealth of Kenyatta family, Moi family, Kibaki family, and Ruto family, this is the money that can keep us for the next 200 years.
Without borrowing? Without borrowing.
So what we have is something the law cannot legislate. It's called the politics of bad manners. My virtue, my beliefs cannot be legislated by the beautiful constitution we have. You have seen what was happening in the courts. You see, when you call learned friends, I was just telling my friend Ogola, we have three people in this country. We have people who are schooled, we have people who are educated, and we have people who are learned. When you are learned, you are going to be a very fair person, even to your worst enemy. Because what you've inquired morally questions your conscience. And then you want to be fair, even to the person who's your worst enemy. People who are educated are like Wetangula. They have gone to school, they have been given a job, they are given instruction by the president, impeach Gachagua, thank you very much. Done deal. You go change, you do a lot of razzmatazz thing in the parliament. The people who are schooled are people who steal from the poor, they begged for votes. And by the way, I have noticed that the more someone says I've gone to Alliance, and the more someone says I've gone to University of Nairobi, these are the biggest thieves we have in this country. They are thugs. Why?
But let's not link the institutions to...
No, we will. When you brag, you know, I went to Mandela Secondary School and Wajir High School.
But just to censure that, it's no,
I'm saying,
a view of
the more you give us this, you know, why do you think all national schools are in Kiambu County? Why not Mandera? Why? It was because the people who were there then thought they can only improve their community. Well, what goes around comes around. And people from Central now, karma is real. So, when you're developing a country, you're developing it for posterity. I've lived in Holland and in Norway. When you're developing a country, men who are learned, Joel, not schooled, not educated, men who are learned will think about how their country is going to be heaven for everyone. You see, this is a country, after 60 years, people are dying of hunger. This is a country, 60 years, they cannot access dialysis because of a very stupid policy of changing NHIF to SHIF or SHAF. Why? The people in government are dealership people. They only see us as a money-making machine. Because when I tell you they have not invented anything, the richer you are in government... They have businesses though. Which you want to tell me eggs can produce 60 billion Kenyan shillings? You are insulting our intelligence. So what you're saying is this. President Ruto, regardless of how much you want to accumulate or how much you want to do business or how much you want to kill, Kibaki came, he left. Moi came, he left. Kenyatta came, he left. Raila is still alive. He was tortured. Why? I just told you. Every soul shall taste death. When is only known to God. So killing a few people, 200 people, 300 people, the burden, we were told that it's a very senior person has now lost his son through suicide. My grandfather used to tell me, who died in 2000, 24 years ago, everything you do outside, you're bringing it back to your home. That's why the Englishman will tell us, what goes around comes around. Well,
what goes around comes around. Allow me at this juncture to take a short commercial break, but just to highlight what is on the Standard newspaper. It's race against time as DP goes for judges. It's race against time as DP goes for judges. That is what is highlighted on the Standard newspaper. When you come back after the break, we'll be still reviewing these topics. That is Ruto on the Adani deal and as well the Gachagua matter. And also to keep in mind, today being the last day of the public participation on the extension of the term limit from 5 years to 7 years for the president, governors, MCAs, MPs, county MPs, and other elected leaders. We take a short commercial break at this juncture. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of the screens. I'll be glad to sample some of them before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. We take a break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Mr. DJ, Mr. DJ. Blackie.